Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to the new format of the Chapel Online, where we're going to have messages as usual, but we're also going to have interviews, we're going to have chats, and various other content that we hope will bless you and encourage you in your walk with Jesus. This one we'll do semi-regularly, which will be chats with Daz and Bron, chats with the senior pastors. I've written a song for it, chats with the senior pastors. Finish it off, Daz.
Sha-la-la-la.
Perfect.
Thank you.
We just want to do a bit of a around the grounds update, let you know where we're all up to. Think of it as church news. So Daz, let me start. What are you expecting about for the new year?
Well, first of all, I want to apologise. I'm in shorts. I didn't know we were going to film in this format. And so,
Lily
see
whites,
what
we call
Ange
them.
can do. Hopefully she can make those legs olive in complexion. The question was, what am I looking forward to?
For the new year.
For the new year. 2024. I'm always reasonably expectant at the start of a new year. But I'm very expectant this year. There's just a bunch of things with so much God-given potential. And it's a new season, obviously, in some ways for us. It's Narrabri and Port, and Lockie's finished school and going into a new season. Bella's got her first full-time job post-uni. And the chapel, we just are expectant around it all. So, yeah, I'm expectant this year. I've got a very clear focus on what I personally need to do. And so all of that's
Is that something
good.
that you want to share, or is that something holding close to your heart for the time being?
No, I'm happy. I think, my number one, I try to work out my priorities, obviously. And, so for me, my number one priority in the background is to, create capacity that changes what's possible, specifically at, in our church, at the chapel for leaders and what they lead. And so, because I'm convinced that if you create capacity, you change what's possible, but not only what's possible with God. And that's a conviction that is just shaped over years and runs deep in me. I absolutely believe that wherever we're at is not all there is. And sometimes it is in a certain thing or place, but I don't believe that's the case for us as a church and for many people that, we serve God with. So that gets me fired up for people and for Jesus Church and for all that's possible this year. And of course, that capacity sets us up to build beyond it. So, yeah.
Daz recently just filmed an interview with Brucey about missions and whatnot, and he was talking about how some people think, it's God's work, leave the heathens to it, God will save them if he wants to, and others are like, no, it's people's work, and obviously it's both. And what you're saying there is that it's both. God's going to do what he does, but we set up to build capacity for that.
Yes.
For what's possible with him.
Yeah.
What do you see could happen if we build the right capacity?
I think like the way my brain works, at least, and maybe God made me this way, is to really try and forecast or see 3, 5, 10 years from now and move towards that. And over the last 20 years, God's brought those things to pass. So now we're continuing to move into the next things. And so I think it's unlimited. I think it's like, Jesus tells us the faithful stewards and the unfaithful stewards and how they steward to the best of their ability and God adds to it. And so Jesus only tells the parable for one piece of the story. But I feel like the guy with 5 could have ended up with 10 and then 20 and then 40 and then 80, then 160 or whatever. And I think that's true of life. I think God's looking for people who are going to serve him faithfully in every season. And when he gets them and they continue to build capacity in while they steward the season, I think what's possible with God is Ephesians 3:20, more than we ask, think or imagine. So, yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, there's our part. And what God ultimately does with it is his business, right? And so we're sitting in the Tamworth Church, and I said to you the other day, if we were just pastoring Tamworth for the rest of our lives, you and I'd be so thrilled to get to do that. Like we just would love that. But if God's called us to steward other things as well, we're equally, celebrating whatever that is. So that's how I look at it. Yeah.
Well, as you know, you like to live driven by vision. I like to live by the vibe. Or as a vibe, and we're actually...
How does that work? Yeah.
It's just great. But really, values-driven is probably how I live, and how I even set vision for my life is according to values. So, for me, thanks for asking. would be...
I thought you were asking the questions. I didn't come with any questions, so yeah.
It is literally just, I just, every day with Jesus, as much as possible, less of me in increasing measures, which is scary. So what I prayed this morning, even in my quiet time, Lord, help me Lord, please get rid of anything unhelpful in me. And what I wanted to pray was, please help me get rid of anything unimportant. But I couldn't bring myself to pray that prayer because that's a stripping of everything. And so I said, Lord, please help me to want to get rid of everything unimportant. And so, I don't know what it is for you, but hopefully that kind of prompts your thinking about this year. Obviously, we're moving to go.
Oh, well, I just want to stay there for a minute. Actually, I've got that distinction in my message this Sunday.
Yeah, right.
And in terms of values-driven and vision-driven, and there's a third one in there, which is mission-driven, and people tend to be one of those three. And the reason I want to pause there is that what I've realised since you taught me about values-driven is most people, or more people, seem to be values-driven than anything else. So can you just take 60 seconds and explain what that looks like? Like someone setting up a year who's a values-driven person.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess values-driven people just really don't want to hate their life by being intense
chasing
all the
something
time
that never arrives.
and just thinking about the next all the time and never being content. We just we'd prefer to go on holidays for holidays' sake and not to colour code our calendars to achieve what we want to.
Missing out, Bronwyn. You're so missing out, everybody.
So values-driven. This is really great for me to know. Daz is so vision-driven, and so that's it's the best. It's actually the best, but it's also intense. It's a lot of focus. It's a lot of conversation around next and stuff like that. And so I tried to be that for a lot of time, but just found that I just naturally didn't go there. And so through some teaching, found out that, I'm not vision-driven, I'm values-driven. And that's really great because that then paints the picture for my life through the values that I hold important. Now, the tricky thing is that our values are often different, not the whole big picture, but the little picture. So we did a values test once for our marriage. In my top 5 were humour and fun. They didn't make Daz's top 100. But it's just good to know about yourself and about each other because, that's for me to bring then. And that's for me, if our household is in any way going to be like that, that's for me to bring, and that's okay. And Daz is always going to be taking us forward, always going to be looking to next, and that's really exciting as well. So if you have never thought about it and you've thought, I'm not a person of vision, you probably are, but it's probably determined by values rather than dreaming and stuff like that.
It's great. I like to tell a joke because I love fun so much. No.
Go for it, Daz.
Yeah, no, I haven't got a joke right now.
Oh,
but
surprising.
Yeah, the household's fun, so I don't know what to say.
Daz, big changes. We've lived in Tamworth for 22 years.
Massive.
What are the predominant prevailing emotions that you're feeling?
I think, it's a good question. I'm not prepped. So I think, at one level there's sadness. I love Tamworth. It's been, living here has been just the most extraordinary journey for us. The God story is miraculous in every way. And we, I love walking down the street, and I was having coffee the other day. And while we're sitting there, I think, there must have been 8 people that went past or into the cafe that we knew, most of them from church, but that we knew.
One of them from the prison.
One guy from the prison who just got out. And I love that. And that stuff takes a long time to build. So I'll miss that being there every day, though we still obviously will be in Tamworth and part of Tamworth. But on the other side of it, I have a rule in my head where I know that my best use in a thing is gone past its expiry date. And really my ability is to rebuild something and then really see it move forward. But there's a point where it needs just health and pastoring and all of that as well. And at that point, I feel like I should move to whatever the next rebuild is. So Narrabri, launching Port is not a rebuild, but helping you pioneer it is the same principles or similar principles. And so all those things, I'm like, yep, the move makes sense. The time is now, and we expect God to build a great church, see people come to faith.
Yes.
And you've got some pretty innovative ideas. So, any thoughts for you as we move?
I texted Sarah Golan. She asked me a couple of days ago, and I texted, and she said, "Oh, that sounds like faith." And I thought, "Oh, yeah, that's cool."
It is faith.
I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm grieving.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit excited, and I've got total peace.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that's faith. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. And so, yeah.
You should have gone first. You articulated how I feel much better.
Well, that's great. Yeah. I'm glad. We feel the same. Yeah. So, but do you have anything else you want to update people with?
No, be praying, some things to pray for. Obviously, Vision Sunday's coming as a church, and it's not really about the Sunday, it's about what that speaks to. Narrabri, we launch officially on January 14, and so be praying for really the rebuild and beyond there, and Port launching when it does, and really praying for that, and then praying for each church that we've got such strength, but that strength that it'll turn into thriving in terms of people's lives and faith this year, and it'll turn into salvation. We always want to keep looking outward for people all around us that God is bringing to faith.
I am excited for this message this weekend. Vision, values and mission. I'm pumped. That's exciting.
It'll be good.
Hey, we're praying for you too. We are. We're praying for everyone across all our churches. We're praying for a year of living for Jesus like never before. We're praying for his kingdom to come in our churches in Jesus' name. And that has been January. Catch up with the pastors.
Shalala. See you all.